It's the time of the week again. It's the Gift of Gaming podcast, and this week you get cozy on your couch because we're talking about couch co-ops. All right, it's me, your host, as per usual, as always, and thankfully, I'm joined by a guest this week. Real people, live episodes. Well, it's live now for me, but it won't be for you. But today on the podcast, I'm joined by none other than Craig, the Critical Nolan. How are you, Craig?
How you doing, Darren? Nice to be on.
You excited? You pumped?
I'm pretty excited for Couch Co-op, yeah. Should be a good one.
Good. And hopping on this most co-op-y of couches is also first-time podcast person on the show, and my own brother, Andrew Wade. Andrew, how are you doing?
Not too bad, Darren. Not too bad at all.
Good to have you on your first show.
Thanks.
Here. Yeah,
Glad to finally be here.
And hopefully, if you don't ruin it, if you don't ruin the podcast for everybody, we'll get you back on.
I'll try very hard not to.
I ruined it loads of times, and I'm back, so I don't think that holds weight.
It's false threats. So, Andrew, we've start of most episodes, we usually ask what games people are playing. And as a person who hasn't been on the podcast, who probably plays different games to us, I might give a fresh new zest for the listeners. What are you playing right now?
I don't know about fresh new zest. At the moment, I'm playing Deep Rock Galactic, which is dwarves, mining and dwarves.
Yeah.
Which is, absolutely insane fun.
Still fun.
Still fun.
So is that on PC, is it?
It's PC and PlayStation, and probably Xbox as well. I'm not too sure about Xbox.
I've just never heard of it.
PC anyway.
What way does it work?
So it's a 4-player, go deep dive into mines, mine all the minerals, kill all the bugs, wave upon wave of bugs.
It was free on the PlayStation Store, so it was you, me, Colm, and Kev. Colm and Kev hopped on to do a 4-player of this. Now it was free, so it was great, and it was fun for me for 2 weeks maybe, because I think the whole gameplay of it, the loop for me isn't overly exciting, but that's one of those things where I have not laughed as hard in a long time playing that game, because there was a bar that you could go to after you did your mining expedition, and each person's own dwarf had their own dance moves and could get drunk and stuff like that. So it was that real nonsensey just messing in between.
Yeah, and the more you're in it, the more the deeper you go, the more ingredients you get for more different types of drinks. It just got ridiculous.
And we were playing that during lockdown, weren't we?
I think it was during COVID actually, but I think that was just because we were again looking for games we'd all kind of played here to delete the boredom kind of we had.
And is there any DLC since we played it?
There's been there's cosmetic packs for the most part. There was a starter, what would you call it? I kicked myself now for not remembering this, but it was basically a supporters pack kind of thing that came out with originally, and they've brought out a second one of those now for the 5-year anniversary. Nice. So everyone's rocking around.
Has it been out for 5 years?
Yeah.
Oh man, the pandemic really ruins what you
I know.
sense of
I couldn't
time,
believe it myself. And everyone, of course, now this one, the now fancy pack now is just Legionnaires armor, but gold and really in your face Legionnaires armor. So of course everyone's rocking around this new armor, kind of going, so many cosmetics. Stop the gold.
Craig, what about you? Anything new or different, interesting? Things you gave up on in the meantime?
No, nothing new. I'm going through The Last of Us again, having just finished the show. And, after watching the show and loving it, I'm like, you know what? I prefer the book. Let's go back to the book, which is, of course, the game in this sense. But it truly feels that.
Please don't confuse the listeners. There is no book.
No, but when people use that frame of mind, a book or the movie, this is very much the game or the show. Yeah. And the game is the book. You know what I mean? Yeah. It just has so much more that I'm just loving it for all those extra little
And are you
details.
playing the new, The Last of Us Part 1 or The Last of Us Remastered?
I'm playing The Last of Us Part 1.
The PS5 one?
The PS4 one that was remastered from the PS3 one, which meant because I bought the PS3 one, I got the PS4 version completely for free.
Wow, that's pretty good.
So to go from PS3 to PS4, which was a big upgrade, and now they want to charge me €70 again for that slight upgrade to the PS5. I was like, no
it's
thanks.
Come on sale a couple of times on the PlayStation Store, and I've almost been convinced because I've watched a lot of clips, and I'm like, man, it looks as good as Part 2. Do you know what I mean? To play them sequentially, in a whole, it would be so good. Because
don't get me wrong, I wanted it more than anything,
but not
70, €80.
Even though you got your previous upgrade for free.
Yeah, but I'm ready to go on to The Last of Us Part 2 just because, and I want that transition. I want that upgrade. If I played The Last of Us Part 1 and it looked better than Part 2, that would annoy me going into Part 2 again. Yeah. So I'd rather play an inferior version of the first one, play the second one, and then go back to the first one and get all that extra content.
Yeah, that's reasonable. That's fair. So I think we were looking at getting loads of different ideas for the upcoming episodes of the podcast. And for this week, we settled on our favorite kind of memories, or our like kind of top games that we love playing that are specifically couch co-ops. So looking back on this, I had loads and loads of like just like really fond memories. But I was like, okay, I have to narrow this down because we don't want this to be like a 2-parter or a 3-parter or like 2 hours long. You know, I'm sure our fans are listening. I'm sure our listeners. I shouldn't say fans. I'm sure the people listening don't want to sit around for 2 hours and listen to us talk about something like this. But Craig, when I say to you couch co-ops, you know, what's your what memory immediately comes back to you sitting down on a couch beside who playing what?
It's funny you should say memory. So I will go back to the very beginning. Yeah? And my very first one, the first like co-op game I ever played was Double Dragon on the NES. And my friend Carl Walsh across the road from me had it. I had it, and like he came over to my house and we played it co-op. And like for anyone who doesn't know, Double Dragon was very much like an old school Final Fight or Streets of Rage, just scrolling left to right, beat 'em up, you know, hitting people in the trash cans, picking up weapons and throwing them. But like it went from stage to stage to stage, and it really felt like an arcade game, so much so that it probably was an arcade game. But I remember getting it and thinking, like, oh my God, if I play this 20 more times, I'll make money back. You know, like that kind of mentality. Because that was back when arcades were in their prime.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So having a game like this, I was like, even though I spent my pocket money to buy it, like, I was just like, no, all I have to do is play this 10, 12 more times. And then I'm making money. You know? Like it's a 5-year-old thinking that way.
It's putting
like,
change into my pocket to keep going.
Exactly. Like, but it was one of those ones where I don't think I got, like, I must have played the first level 100 times, the second level maybe 20 times, and the third level 5 or 6 times, and then never passed that.
In terms of
because I was the little kid who was just
difficulty.
terrible at these games.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
You know, but like you just get, maybe it's your attention span or whatever, but after 20 minutes, I'd be wrecked, you know, looking for the save point, which didn't exist back in those days, Darren. Like, you know,
no save
there was
points.
no saves. But that was a really good old school beat 'em up of just going through, beating up the bad guys to get to the next level. And it was fantastic because on the TCC channel, they had a Double Dragon TV series, a cartoon, and it was amazing. You know, my brain is just singing the tune now, but I can't do it justice.
So sorry,
which should hold off?
Which came first?
The game or the TV series?
Yes.
I assume the game.
Okay.
They usually do in those situations, you know?
So are you playing this alongside watching it kind of
Yeah.
thing? Oh,
so
excellent.
even as a kid, I had that euphoria, you know, of like
getting
having
it
both at once.
All media, yeah. Just like hook it to my veins. Give me whatever
It's like, you know, when we had
want.
Pokemon to play and then a new episode of the show would come out and be like, oh my God.
Yeah.
You know? So Double Dragon was fantastic for like a 5-6-year-old Craig. And those were my first memories with a buddy, you know, playing the game. And it was nice. It was a lovely little thing.
And could you see yourself playing it now?
No, of course not. And I'm not nostalgic with games like that. I would never go back. If I wanted to, I'd just play Streets of Rage 4, which is still a really good game.
Yeah.
Or those Turtles games. I mean, they're all pretty much like that now.
Yeah. Same style.
You know, same style, same difference, but like better now.
Yeah. Don't make me play that rubbish anymore.
Yeah.
Let it settle. Let it settle as this lovely thing in my
It'll
brain.
live
that
on
I'll
in my
never
memory
ruin.
forever, but don't show me a picture or a screenshot or a video of it at all, because then it'll be dead.
Ruined for you. Andrew, if you got to pick
I'd go with
game?
Craig, going back to old school with the NES, and just as you mentioned there, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. Which
nice.
was
on the actual Nintendo?
On the Nintendo.
Look at us throwing our age around.
I know.
You know?
Yeah, like, and we are the old ones of the group. But yeah, that was, I always remember that because I mean that was when we've always played like together ourselves kind of thing.
Yeah,
so
but that was, I mean, I enjoyed it. It
was brutally difficult.
It was brutally difficult.
Like there was no forgiveness in that game. There was no save points in that game. You got to a point, if you died and lost your lives, straight back to the start with you.
And I'll never forget, like, in terms of, because that was always enjoyable. Like one of my game series, definitely one that we would have sat around together with, like Graham and our friend Kieran playing multiplayer games. But that was one of my fondest memories. And also kind of things where I've never felt so sorry for people at an age. I remember that Andrew and Graham were sitting down playing this Turtles game, Craig. Impossibly difficult. Mm-hmm. But they had fine-tuned their skills so well that they got to, I think, the last fight where you fight, not necessarily Shredder, but
you were fighting Krang.
Yeah,
and
Krang.
I think
Krang would always be the final
never
boss.
got past Krang.
You know, and I remember, like, and it was that thing where it was almost like I could see them like getting ready to throw their controllers out the window, like just because you were at that age where you just wanted to break shit when it didn't go your way. I remember sitting down watching you guys. We're on those like crappy little plastic chairs in our bedroom,
Jesus, those things,
and just watching you two play that game, and the whole thing where it was like just that panic, you know, when people say, "No, and like all that going on for ages, and then seeing you guys lose, I was like, God, that's got to be rough. And the game over that brought you right back to the start.
And that was soul destroying every time. And I'll never forget, it was the first game I played where you could use a combo of buttons. So I've like the two red buttons. It was A and B. I can't even remember at this
what a
stage.
combo!
But
that's all the NES had. Yeah,
but that's like one was jump, one was attack. But if you hit the two of them at the same time, you did this cool little jump attack, which was way more damaging to the enemies, and you could avoid most of the attacks they throw at you. And you'd see me and Graham like that, just jumping attack.
Eventually, they got so frustrated they just start cheesing the game.
But
fighting dirty with dirty. You know?
But that's it. And I'm surprised, like I said, those controllers didn't have like grip marks in them. We just crushed the controllers. We were like screaming that hard and holding the controllers.
And
they
were like, they would have hurt your hands because it was like
they were
pointy controllers, like ergonomically not sound whatsoever.
Not at all. No, it's literally a break.
How weak we are at 7 or 8 years old.
Oh yeah, no, there was no break in them.
We could like hold on to the controller for our entire lives.
Those things were like Nokia's compared to like controllers these days. And you could smack those against the wall and you'd probably dent the wall.
And so, remind me, who was your turtle?
For me, it was always Donatello.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. I think Graham was a Leonardo, wasn't he?
Yeah. And then
leader of the gang.
I was also Donatello. I love that.
Nice.
Yeah, it's good.
I mean, I think I'd probably go for out of the remaining two. You kind of have to go for Raphael, don't you? Because
if we hadn't said Donatello, would you have said
I would have picked Donatello. You would have had a table of three.
I could see that.
Yeah. Donatello or Leonardo, but Leonardo's too much of a stiff. I think even by my standards. I love a good stiff. Like
Yeah.
No.
Like Leonardo leads, but Donatello does machines. He's just a guy.
No, I've got the tune stuck in my head. Thank you for that.
So one that I'm going to go for is, and I don't even think it shows my age compared to you guys because it's still we're jumping up to Super Nintendo here, okay? You guys back in the Stone Age with your Nintendos, amateur hour. So for me, and this thing that kind of like organically happened over time with my good friend Danny. And annually we will play now, ever since we kind of discovered it and went back to it, Super Mario Brothers 3. And now I know that was originally for the Nintendo, but we play the All-Stars version on the Super Nintendo. So we could actually have a reliably saved game, hopefully.
Smart.
Absolutely. Yeah, because I'm not young enough to be able to put up with that stuff anymore, So it was such an amazing game because I think back to when we first started playing that. He would always play as Mario, I would play as Luigi. And this game kind of started for me. I don't know if you remember, Andrew, obviously being my eldest of brothers.
Oh, I do remember.
I was never player one, so never got Mario. I think I mentioned this on the podcast. This is where my love for Luigi came from. That never got to pick Mario, so was always left with Luigi.
Luigi was Luigi was forced upon you from an early age.
And I've learned to accept him and embrace him, and he's the greatest. But even going to play the Super Mario Brothers 3 with Danny, it was like, well, who do you want to pick? Darren was like, well, obviously player 2. Well, like I'm not gonna deny Luigi now but it's cool. So me and Danny have this thing where we played it every year. And I don't know how long we've been doing it now, like easily 10, 11 years we've been doing this. And at the beginning, I remember it being so hard, like 8 worlds. And, we would struggle to get past World 3 and 4. And by the time we got to World 8, it would take us like 5, 6, 7
Which is the world where everyone was giant. Is that like World 4?
World 4, I think. Yeah, World 4
was a really tough one.
Yeah. But getting to like these, the weird thing about World 8 was there was like airships on the map, which was unusual, and they would be insanely difficult levels to complete. But I remember starting the game and it being like, my God, I'm really like, this is, for, like playing through it the first time we decided to do this, and we were like, God, we are so bad at this game, and trying, and like 6, 7, 8 sessions later, it was awful, but we managed to get through it. Like, wow, that's amazing. To the point now where in a year, like in a year, if we play it like maybe annually or twice in the year, we'll get through it, right? I'll arrive at World 8 with like 40 something lives, easy peasy, no hassle at all. But the most amazing thing about that being a couch co-op was only beginning of last year, our friends Kev and Niall were down. They came down to Danny's with me, and they're like, "Oh, what are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, we're gonna play some Super Mario Bros. 3, if you guys don't mind, like, sit and watch." And they were like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I never played this, so a stupid old game, whatever."
They sound just like that.
Yeah. My God, it's uncanny.
My impressions are fantastic. I don't play this, it's stupid. So they weren't actually like that. They were like watching us playing, like, oh, this looks like a lot of fun. So me and Kev were kind of Team Luigi, and Niall and Danny were Team Mario. But it was the most amazing for me going back to that, like, experiencing game for the first time. It was amazing watching Kev and Niall, who never played through this game, sit down with me and Danny and go through it from start to finish. And like finding the levels, the real tough levels that me and Danny found as tough as me and Danny found it being. And me and Danny were kind of like, oh yeah, okay, we're not just like crap, everybody finds this level hard, you know. But it was cool to kind of like show people this, and you know, pretty cool as well, like when we'd be doing a level and like Kev and I kind of finished and they had the controllers back to me and Danny, we're like, yeah, don't worry fellas, we got this. Like, you know,
you could appreciate how your skill actually
exactly
is.
to like,
watch
to
them
have
masters
that effect. But it was like some of my, like the most I've laughed ever, I'll never forget, like for one session we were doing this, and you play as Mario, and then once you complete a level or you die, then Luigi's the next character. So we were just chopping and changing controllers. So I'd get a turn every 3 levels basically. But Niall and Danny, who were Team Mario, got stuck on this really tough level, and for whatever reason myself and Kev had bypassed it, and we were off having the best time in all these other like secret levels that we were doing. And one of the things, one of the level areas was called Butter Bridge, and this like there's like 2 bonus levels on this bridge on the top of the map or whatever. Sorry, this is for Super Mario World, like the next one that we moved on to, whatever. But when we were playing the games, we would always have this thing where me and Kev had lots of fun doing all these fun levels, and Niall and Danny would always get stuck. We ended up having this thing that's like still a quote with us, where like one of us would go, "Meanwhile on Butter Bridge," because like we were having the best time, and then it would click back to like Danny and Niall, who were like, like in this horrible like dungeon level, who were unable to escape. I mean, Kev were like, "Woohoo!" like getting star powers and like, you know, cloaks and having the best time. But I think because that was only last year, and you know, I had so much fun playing that game 12 years ago, and to do it again last year like that, I'm like, this game is still so amazing to revisit as an adult with your mates and be like, and it's not that it's like a fun game, it's an amazing platformer, like an amazing platformer, like, and with like requiring such a level of skill as well to get through the way it's designed, you know, you have to be good at it. And playing it so much, I know the general consensus out there is that Super Mario World is a better game, but for me, fellas, Super Mario Bros. 3, if I had to pick between the two, Super Mario Bros. 3,
that's
hands
your
down.
go-to.
That would be mine too, just because I played it first and then didn't play Super Mario World at all. So I would just go straight to Mario Bros. 3.
And because that was the thing, and like, not to go on here, but we moved on after we finished that game with the guys who went on to Super Mario World and did that with the guys as well. Same thing, you know, Danny and Niall, not as good as me and Kev, whatever, playing as Luigi, of course, the better of the 2 brothers. But yeah, there's so much replayability for those games. What about you, Craig? Any other good co-op?
I guess on the subject of Mario, and I was thinking of how can I cheat with this whole multiplayer like couch co-op thing, and I was like, I prepared so many games of just like games of people over in my house playing like Smash Brothers and things like that, and then I was just thinking, hold on, Mario Kart Double Dash was the one on the GameCube where you would actually be riding around, but someone was in the back of your car, so there's 2 people per kart. So it was the only Mario Kart game that's ever done this, but it was one that like you could definitely benefit from if you played with 2 people.
Yep.
Because the person in the front of the car would steer the Mario Kart and the person in the back controlled the weapons. But the person in the back could also swing their arms left and right to kind of pull your cart in that direction if you needed to get around a tight corner, or just punch someone in the face, you know, whichever you needed to do. But that was a really good like co-op Mario Kart game, which you play for co-op maybe for like an hour, and then you just switch back to battle mode and do the regular Mario Kart things. But
I imagine that would lead to a lot of arguments. I was like, why did you put your hand down going around this corner? We needed it.
It almost never worked out. Like you would, even if you came first, you'd be like, why the hell did you swing me in that direction? I was going to get the star power, blah, blah, blah. And you'd hassle each other more often than not. Like, but I mean, co-op is all fun. About that. Like friendly fire, you know, keep that stuff on.
And so this was GameCube, right?
The GameCube,
and that was like 4 controllers. So you could do what, like a split screen 2 and 2?
Split screen 2 and 2, or you could just do 4-player versus. But if we're going with the co-op
you have to
whole
do
style thing, then it would be 2 and 2. Yeah.
Nice. Favorite level?
Favorite level was,
or race, I should say, track.
I think it's called Dino Mountain, but it's the one where, because these days everything like there must be like 10 Mario circuits and 10 Rainbow Roads at this stage. So like. Saying the name of a track doesn't necessarily mean what it is.
Yeah.
But I think DK Mountain was one where at the very beginning you go up get blasted through a cannon and you landed on top of the mountain, and then you had to race down the mountain.
Yeah.
And it was just a lovely, unique way of playing that game.
As opposed to your classic 3 laps around this
Exactly.
circuit.
It was 1 lap. And I really appreciate that they're doing that more and more with these games now. They're just doing, rather than have, you know, just 3 laps of the one track, they're making the levels like way bigger now.
It's like rally courses as opposed to racing courses. Exactly. You just get to A from A to B,
like
as
a
opposed
point to point kind of thing. Just
Like that Wario Mountain level in Mario Kart 8, you know, where you're just going down. It's just like DK Mountain, except on a snowy mountain.
Yes.
Like that's my favorite level in that game, you know.
We always used to, when we were always playing Double Dash, I think when I was in New Zealand with the guys, we always used to use that as the last level. That would always be the decider. Because it was like a race to the bottom. Do you know what I mean? As opposed to anything. So you're like, no, I have to be the first one to get to. And there was always that thing at the end of that track where you kind of launch yourself and you're flying. And you have all those like the circle things you can fly through to give you a boost to get down. And there was always that thing of like the tension of, you know, everyone's right around you, and it's like I gotta get to the bottom first. And
because you're going over so many ramps, you're kind of like wobbling all over the place. And at any moment you kind of like veer off course. No matter how good you are, like there's just the rocks pressure falling. There's like massive ramps. Like you make a corner, someone bumps you, and instantly you've fallen off the cliff. That's 20 seconds lost. That's last place. Instantly, regardless of how good you were, you know.
For the likes of Double Dash, I mean, I don't know if they'll ever make a Mario Kart 9 with the waves they've got coming on for Mario Kart 8.
Yeah, I know.
Would you want them to reintroduce the Double Dash aspect back into Mario Kart?
I think this should be the last Mario Kart ever.
8?
And I think it should be Smash Kart or Nintendo Kart or Mario Kart and Friends, you know, whatever they want to call it.
Yeah.
But based on Mario Kart 8 having Link, having the Villager, having what
there's rumors I heard only recently through the world of the internet that Samus could be one of the, I think there's 5, they announced 5 new characters.
You know,
Samus could be one of them.
Like
Are we getting Smash 2.0 in the form of karts?
Like you could so easily throw in Kirby, Pikachu, and Fox and just call it Nintendo Kart. You know, and that's all you'd need. Like they're so close. Because I said they had Villager and Link, but they also have the Inklings. You know, they're in there as well now. Like, you know, So like, and with the amount of Mario Kart characters that there were in general, like almost half the Smash cast are in there. Like, you know,
so I was gonna say this is literally turning to Smash on wheels.
Yeah,
you know?
essentially.
And just think of all those amazing levels you could get. You know, with those themed
all
worlds.
Those characters in.
Because I mean, we can't have Wario stadiums anymore. I've seen that like 5 times. We need new levels, and like in Mario Kart 8, 2 of the best levels were those like Big Blue and like those F-Zero levels, high octane, high speed, you know, you got boost power, just go really, really fast, you know. And then the Animal Crossing level, which could be one of 4 different
colors, 4 the seasons, yeah.
Fantastic. So if you want to play a co-op, you can.
And that's why I'm allowed to talk about it in this episode. Like, nice cover. So because you know, we'd ask the question, or I've asked the question to you guys sometimes when we're hanging out or whatever, is there any Smash character who didn't make it into the game that you would like to see make it into the game? Taking that aside and looking at it from a purely like racing kind of game where it's like Nintendo Kart or whatever, who would you most like to have in a Nintendo Kart kind of game?
I think I'd love to see Fox in the Mario Kart, just because like you think Kirby, and I'm like, yeah, but how would his legs get into the cart? How would he sit on the bike? You know, like it wouldn't transition that well. They have to re-edit
in Double Dash. You played as babies.
You did, but didn't they somehow?
No, they just sat like with like loads of.
Okay, I've obviously never ever picked them because I've never seen what that looks like.
Yeah.
But for me, Fox has a full body and therefore could actually sit in the seat and sit on the bike. You know. Same with Sonic, but Kirby couldn't. Pikachu couldn't. You know, like
but they've got babies
just
racing
make different carts to sit down where you don't see their legs.
Like you could like sit in like, you know, in fairness, in Double Dash there was like buggies. Was it like you could race around in buggies as well? Because the way each character had their own cart. So I think the baby characters had like.
I thought every character could still be in every cart. Couldn't
you
they?
Could, yes, but at least everybody had their.
I'm gonna have to try pick the baby and see what they look like in the bike, because I have no memory.
Throw them on a motorbike. It looks ridiculous, like, you know. Andrew, same question to you. And now Nintendo, so we can't go.
Oh God!
I don't know if you'll ever get like a Smash Kart. We're talking about like Nintendo Kart. We have to be reasonable here about our choices. Who would you most like to see in a Nintendo Kart that isn't the standard Mario Kart?
This again, you're pointing this question towards the pure Sony man. Like there's Nintendo characters. Like Donkey Kong's already in it.
Yeah,
Donkey Kong's my go-to Nintendo character. So in anything, it's Donkey Kong or Bowser. And I mean,
he's set. God, if I had to have a Nintendo character, who would I throw in it? I mean, Sora's.
Don't go there.
And I said Fox for a reason, because I'd love to see Corneria or Venom or some deadly looking like otherworldly racetrack that would suit them, or Samus, because I just think
space and stuff.
Yes, it lends itself really well to the Mario Kart universe. You know?
Yeah, I mean, like if you're going down that route, then let's see Snake go into it. Then I mean, because I know where you're pulling Sora from.
Well, Snake has
He's just driving through Shadow Moses with Metal Gears chasing
no,
you. That's ridiculous. I'm in.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it. You know,
I could definitely see
Smash
it.
Kart. Let's just
the second I said it, I
I
changed my mind.
Yeah, screw Nintendo Kart. We'll call it Smash Kart. Everybody's back. You know, everybody's invited.
If Sakurai made Smash Kart, think how many great options there'd be. You know, like you just wouldn't get the levels. You get like to pick out what percentage chance the items are gonna pick or be at. You could alter your speeds. The car choices would be insane, like, you know,
customizable, like
all these different modes. None of this battle with like time. We'd be back to the old school 3 balloons and you're out and you're a bomb, you know, that's it. Then you run around, you blow someone up and you're done, you know.
Oh, I hope he brings it. Maybe that's why he's retiring, Craig, from Smash
I don't think
Brothers.
He's retiring. He's
maybe that's
just probably taking a break from Smash Brothers.
Yeah,
Smash Brothers is as good as it's ever going to be. Like,
yeah,
you know?
yeah, we can't. That's a whole other episode in itself where we'll just like praise Smash Brothers for about an hour and 15 minutes.
I try to only touch on Smash very loosely on these podcasts, just because I know
we're going to have an episode,
a massive deep
dive.
You know.
Okay, Andrew, you got any other good couch co-ops?
Yeah, there's one actually, and you'd actually touched on it in a previous episode.
Oh,
that I think we appreciate. Project Eden.
Oh my God! Yes.
Back to the days of PS2, and that game and the
didn't work very well. But
no, and you have to remember we played it as well. We played it on that god awful box TV we had that was longer than it was wide, and it wasn't very wide.
No.
And then trying to fit 4 people on that screen trying to play that game was just insane.
But it was, I think, from our perspective, it was great to have. Because it was real narrative heavy. It was a whole.
It was really narrative driven. Like all the characters had their own special things they could do. Our brother picked the lead character whose special ability was, and I will always, to this day, always love it, opening doors.
Yeah.
I've actually never heard of Project Eden. What type of game is this?
So it's kind of, I would say, like, what would you say, like sci-fi?
It's a sci-fi 4-player co-op that can be done solo or with up to 4 people, but if you play solo you have to take control of each individual character at individual moment, so it was awful.
It's kind of a third person behind the back of the character. Each person has their own kind of weapon or there's like a primary weapon that you can pick up different things, but your secondary was always something to do with your character. So I always picked Andre, the engineer, who had like an electrical taser thing he could use.
I love when they do that, give your characters different abilities.
And then it's like we all had our different characters to play as, and we had our friend Kieran would be up sometimes playing it as well. So like I remember Graham would always play as Carter, the lead character, who could shoot a gun and open doors really well. And then Darren, let's say you played as Andre, like the little
engineer. I just fixed things.
Yeah, the little bar that was going across, you'd have to hit it right in the blue to open it and break through the seals.
But I was quite young as well when we played through this, and there was something like, you know, like you're the oldest. Both of you guys are the older brothers, so I don't know if you're going to get this.
Yeah. But we never played as Luigi.
No,
okay,
not once.
All right, okay. Me being the youngest, there was always that thing of like, you know, both my older brothers were always better at video games than I was because they were older, and I always was like, oh, I really want the respect from my brothers, you know, so that I can play games.
It doesn't work
good.
that way, Darren.
No.
We're still older than you, and that's how it works forever.
No. But what was really nice is, or what I loved about that game is it would come to these moments where, like, you know, we're being attacked by loads of like gull things, like horrible alien pterodactyl things coming down on us, and Minoko was one of the characters, and she's a hacker, and you know, Minoko would have to hack this thing so we could open this door while we're all being attacked, and then Graham would have to go and open the door because that's all his character could do. But they realized the door was broken, so they were like, Andre needs to fix this, and I go over. That was how Carter talked, by the way.
So you were the girl character?
No, Minoko was the girl character, and that was Kieran. She was a hacker. She was definitely the coolest in terms of the hacking thing. That was the hacking thing being cool before it was actually cool. You know, everyone's like, oh, I want to try that. You know,
before Deus Ex.
But then there was a thing where I was trying to do this. You know, we were all like close to death, and we needed to get that bar right in the middle so I could engineer the shit out of this door so we could open it and escape. So it's all on me. And I did it, and everyone's like, "Well, okay, way to go, Darren!" And we ran through the door with safety. And I was sitting back and like, "I'm a cool motherfucker."
Just forgetting to exit with everyone else.
Yeah, just getting killed on the map. Be like, "Yeah, I did my job."
I was like that as well because it was great because like it was like it was a story driven. There was narrative to it as well. The voice acting in it wasn't the greatest, but at the time it was pretty good. And we had this thing as well where, like I say, everyone has their own abilities, and like I always play as Amber, which is this big hulking robot. And Amber's only special ability was I can walk into the gas and the fire, and you guys can't. Ha ha ha. So I'd have gone out and he's like rambling wanders off by myself, going through his like, poison atmosphere things while they're all fighting monsters. And go, oh, we need to get back here. I was like, I can't. I'm busy trudging through all this fire and brimstone to point this little lock here run halfway across the level to get back to you guys to join the fight.
What year was this, and what kind of console?
This would have been, I think, it was on PS2 anyway.
So you had the multi-tap for the PS2?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's rare. Very few people had that.
And that was great because I always remember having the multi-tap, the L-shaped multi-tap for the PS1, and then I got the PS2 multi-tap, which was like, it was almost like a box with two either side of it, then the one that plugged into the... Yeah. That was great.
2001.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, so like I would have been 10, 11. I don't know if we got it right away when it came out, so give or take a couple of years.
No, because I remember getting and God bless them, I remember getting a demo disc in a PlayStation magazine I picked up, and I think we played it, and it allowed two people to play it, and myself and Graham played it. And I was like, yeah, no, this is fantastic, we should get our hands on this. And we picked it up and obviously got you playing it as well, and
it was quite... it was sci-fi, but it was quite haunting as well, because I'm trying to think back, and I don't remember the story so well, but there was a little girl, classic horror thing.
I can actually tell you the entire story because I was only actually recently playing it because friend of Claire's family actually had it, and we were kind of playing it. This is what we talked about, Craig not revisiting, what was it?
The old school games.
Because I just remember, even though I love that game and have so much nostalgia around that game, I know that it looked bad and played.
I will tell you right now.
So bad.
It is the clunkiest, most god-awful thing I've ever gone back to play. I literally went back to say, I haven't played it, I want to see what it's like. Kind of like, the voice acting is terrible. The controls were so clunky, and so like you're trying to hit a switch, but you keep going left, right, up, down, just trying to move your character slowly to hit this while being attacked by all these cannibal zombie monsters.
And we got to the end boss. The end boss was in this big because I was quite excited being young, like, oh, I've gone through this whole story with my mates, this is so exciting, like, we're not like brothers, they're cool, mate, and they're like, whoa, this is great, we played every weekend for weeks.
Your brothers aren't your friends, Darren.
Yeah, no, they're just my brothers. Age. Never.
We tolerated the fact that you could open the proper doors for us kind of thing.
Yeah. Hey, excuse me, engineered the
doors. Sorry,
the doors was Graham's job. But I remember, like, it was this big kind of dome area, like it was like it was Eden essentially, the gaming part. It was this like garden place, this big dome, and the little girl who was quite terrifying turned into this big monster he had to fight at the end. But Craig, I have never played such bad slowdown in my life. Like you could hear the disc revving up in the PlayStation 2. The game just kept starting, and we're trying to like beat the last boss because
mid-level, like
yeah.
So
yeah,
if you remember as well, for that, I think at one stage we actually put a book, like a proper hardback cover book, on top of the PlayStation to hold the lid down, because the lid was actually starting to bump up and down with the disc literally murdering itself inside the console. It's like, we're just going to push that down and hope for the best.
It was like, I really, like, I couldn't. It's like that. Like, I'll never go back to play that game now. I want there to be a remaster of it, because I think from a sci-fi perspective, I was like, that's quite an interesting concept and an interesting story. Fuck me, that game. Like, I mean, even as like even 11-year-old me was like, this sucks. You know, this last spot.
I think it was again like that, brutally difficult. We had something of all of us picking really, really hard games to play together, because it was. And I was
it's all coming back to me now. I was the annoying little shit whereby there were so many times where everyone wanted to give up, like, because you'd be walking down a level and it's because of how it's designed, it's so easy to fall off the edge and get a game over. It's like this stupid gameplay loop or whatever, and I'd be like, no, we got to come back next weekend and play the game, because I'm like, I was just desperate to get this game going, even though it was so crap. Yeah, Part Eden was a great shout, actually.
No, that was I want to definitely remember, and again, whether I remember for all the wrong reasons or the right reasons, but it was always one that, like, the four was you, me, Graham, and Kieran to get together. Yeah. We'd always play it on the weekends, and it was just one we just sunk so much time we shouldn't have sunk into it.
When Blue Point is like a video games company that like do remasters, they did like Shadow of the Colossus, and I don't think what else they did. Maybe Resident Evil or something. Well, maybe not Resident Evil, but they're doing remakes of games. Now, they only do like pretty much the cosmetic. They don't mess with the actual gameplay. But when I heard about these guys, Blue Point, and that they were coming back and like upping Shadow of the Colossus, the first thought that came to my head when I recognized that, these are guys who just, that's all they do. They just like remaster these games. I was like, please do Project Eden. But knowing that it plays like shit, I'm like, please do it, and also fix all of the controls.
All those horrible little issues, please fix those. And it was one of those ones that definitely like, you're going to get people around the house to play kind of thing. So
I think my next choice, I don't know if you can consider it a co-op, because I've only ever shouted at people playing this. No, I mean, it's a co-op game, but we've only ever shouted Overcooked. Overcooked.
I had a feeling you'd say that.
Yeah. I mean, you say co-op, but let's be fair, that's just everyone giving out and screaming at each other.
People, as the only person here with real life chefing experience, I was stepping into those.
Well, that's
kitchens.
all that game is, like real cooking,
Chef
I don't know how anyone
simulator.
has fun playing that. I'm like, you're literally just working in the kitchen.
So stressed. I loved it so much because it was there was one Christmas we were playing it, and it was me, Graham, Lauren, and Gillian, my sister. We were all just playing it because it was like, oh, let's play a fun game at Christmas, and we played like the ice levels, and they were like notoriously difficult because you'd have kitchens at either side of this river that these big ice blocks would flow down, and you have to run across these things to get food from one station to the next to do the next stage of the food. And I'll never forget us like literally ready to stand up and knock the heads off each other because people couldn't run across the ice properly, and they dropped the fish and chips in the water that might have just fried. It was like
the amount of time someone would hand you the meal ready to go, and you realize this fish isn't cooked. This is a waste.
Yeah, this is raw fish. You've ruined the dish. Yeah, all those. And it was just so satisfying. Like, when I say so satisfying, I remember like playing it was stressful. I thought it was very funny, but people used to get very angry at me because I was very like, I'm the head chef here, I'm going to take control. So I'd be telling everybody where they're going. I'd be like, well, fuck you, Darren. Make your own damn fish. Like just absolutely losing their shit with me. And I'm like, no, I need this here. I should have had the pizza fucking 2 days ago. Where's that? Like,
See, nobody gets mad at the head chef, so you're fine. Like,
They got mad at me to the point where I like had to take a step back. And I have to say, if this could be included in couch co-op, there was also nothing better than taking a step back, sitting on the couch, watching 4 other people play that game and lose their shit at each other. And you're just going to sit there being like, well, this is a lot of fun.
It means I'm not a bad person. It just means this game is toxic. Like,
I think, well, it depends. You said it's kind of just like cooking, but it's such a well thought up game.
Well, not quite yet. Give it a few more years and they'll somehow have you sitting there like moving the controller around, whereas in real life you're moving robots around the kitchen and they're actually making food for people. So you'll be working for a company but playing a video game, and they'll be making money on it.
And there will
that's
be
the future of that.
There will be real people.
That's essentially what you're doing.
Screaming at you.
You're cooking in the kitchen, except nobody's benefiting. So the companies are going to market that one day, like,
Wow. And like the best players in the world get the
and you'll be
best
fooled
jobs
into
in
thinking
like,
you had a great time,
Like imagine going to the actual that's an amazing idea. Imagine going to the actual Overcooked kitchen. Like imagine that like people like the 3-4 best Overcooked players in the world of this new Overcooked game are sitting together playing it, and you can sit in the real restaurant and look in at the kitchen where these 4 robots are doing everything that these players are making them do, and you get served that food. That sounds amazing.
I'd just be watching that, waiting for one of the robots to dash into another one and launch out of the kitchen. Yeah. And then nothing but swearing, because that's 9 times out of 10, that's exactly when an Overcooked game goes. Everyone's doing it really well, and then one person panics with the dash button, slams into somebody else, that person turns around, dashes into them, and all of a sudden it's just chaos and food everywhere.
I love it, man. I love it. I love stirring like the metaphorical pot.
Nice. As soon as you said stirring, I was like, is he going to go there?
Yeah, there is going.
Stirring the metaphorical pot. I wanted to make sure I got my words right. Like just doing that, like knowing that people were stressed and like pushing buttons. Like somebody's like they needed like 4 or 5 salads ages ago, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm getting it. I'll be over in a second, And I was like fucking about with a fire extinguisher, Yeah. Oh, such a good game. Such a good game for like belly laughs for like the hatred that would
Oh yeah, and you kind of sit back after and kind of go.
Yeah, you need to take a break.
I played it once and never again. No way. Like, I'm one of those people who genuinely thinks I'm being duped by playing it. Like I'm just like, someone is somewhere making food in the kitchen right now, and I'm providing that food for free.
Wow,
that is my mentality.
Are you got any other kind of games, honorable mentions?
Just because I kind of cheated with both. I went with nostalgia, and then I went with a Mario Kart game that had a couple of co-op elements. But Gears of War 2 was one of those games that felt like it was actually built with co-op in mind.
Did you have an Xbox?
I did have an Xbox, of course I did. Yeah. I don't throw my weight around unless I have actually experienced like Xbox. Okay. I have the Xbox 360. I just stopped there because that's when it went completely downhill.
Oh yeah, don't let Luke you say that. Yeah, because
Mr. Game Pass won't like that.
Yeah.
But Gears 2 was my favorite of the series, and I think because they introduced Horde mode, which is just one of the funnest things ever to play. But Gears 2 in particular really felt there was just so many moments in the game where it's just like, I'll go this way, you go that way. And, if you have the second person with you, it really felt like you were splitting up with one other teammate to go ahead and, go a different route. But then one of you gets swarmed and the other guy has to jump on a turret and provide covering fire or something like that. Like, for people who don't know, Gears of War is, a third-person shooter, And what made it good in many other ways as well is that when someone lost all their health, they were downed. And I think at the time when Gears did that, I absolutely loved that mechanic of having to run over and like revive them. Like that felt really special while under fire. Like, you know, even if your AI teammates went down, it felt like a big deal getting back up and like having your full squad. I got you, bud. But doing that with an actual person, they're like, oh, and they're crawling over to you, like you can literally crawl. But then, like sometimes when like an alien ran over to someone, they just saw off their head before they can get to it. You're like, oh man, you didn't get to me. It's like, I'm sorry, man, I was so close.
So hard. And the because like I'm always about the narrative, but you could play the story.
Yeah, the whole story from start to finish,
which was
couch co-op. Yeah, and I say couch co-op, but like I was over in Wolverhampton. I was living in England at the time, and I was mid-map. And Colin was trying to play with me, and he was just like, "Oh, here, do you want to pause that? We go out to the menu, and you know, we play on like co-op." And I was like, "No, just go online and join." And like within 10 seconds, he was in my game, and we transitioned from 1 player to 2 player. Back in 2008, Darren, I had never experienced that before. Like the fact that we transitioned from 1 player into 2 player without having to leave the game.
And the Xbox was like. In terms of that online stuff, the Xbox was...
Xbox 360.
Xbox, yeah. But it was king for that. I'll never ever... And I'm going back to maybe more the Xbox when I think about this, but playing Halo and Luke's and actually sitting there on a little headset that you got with your Xbox Live subscription, and I was like, holy... am I actually playing with real life people? It was like, yeah, that guy, he sounds like he's from Scotland or whatever else. I'm like, oh my God, this is the craziest thing. Like, you know? And Xbox just continuously did that. And I'd be having your mate, like, for you to be over in the UK and just be like, yeah, just hop into my game. And
I know, and just let's play some co-op games and just complete the story that way.
Because, like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this isn't a fair statement, but my impression of the industry since then is that we had that real good jump and everything was real accessible. And then for a good few years after that, it kind of took a step back.
Gears of War 2, like, that peaked the whole co-op thing. But I think where it went downhill was because that Gears of War and Dead Space came out at very similar times. Yeah. And with the success of Gears of War 2 and 3, Dead Space 3 went fully co-op. And that was by far the worst game ever. Like so much so that I think every single game from then on was like, let's
you me and you played a game called Two Brothers. It was just called Two Brothers. What was that one?
Oh, Army of Two.
Army of Two.
Oh, no, that was
purely co-op game. Now that I think about it,
that was a great co-op. That was
the. I'm gonna write this down for a second. This is one of my next game. You know, cheeky pig.
The Army of Two was an incredible game, but that was like the going up against the cartel or something, wasn't it?
Well, you played as we were kind of like characters that looked a little bit like is it Skullbreaker? Who in the Marvel film and Captain America in the Civil War?
Crossbones.
We kind of played as characters that looked like Crossbones. One was a hulking fella, and the other one was kind of neither were scrawny, but the other guy would have been less muscly, let's say.
I always remember playing as the big hulking
you
fella.
You were always the big hulking, and like each of us had our own kind of skill that you could do, but it was that kind of like Gears of War style, third person, over the shoulder. But that was a classic. I can't believe I'm not even remembering that now. That you brought up like a fully co-op game. I was like, I've played one of those before. Like,
well, in Army of Two, could you run over and revive your?
So one of you.
That is easily the best mechanic of any co-op
you had this
shooting.
great one as well, then, because I mean, like getting to people, like if I remember correctly, when you were down, you could still kind of somewhat move, but it was the first kind of like, you know, revive me. I'm going to get into a nice spot to revive me from.
A cubby hole, yeah.
But you'd be belting along as the other person. You'd see their kind of like the silhouette to get to it, and you'd vault over things, and you felt like a badass, like charging your way through doors, knocking guys out of the way to get your down mate.
I think I could be wrong in saying this, but I think Gears of War had that like effect on it when you started to sprint. It kind of shook the whole camera.
It felt like a cinematic camera.
You felt the power
that
of the
and vaulting. Like I'd never seen it before in games until then. You know?
And that style of stuff, like for you like that, like running to revive someone, getting shot at from all directions, vaulting over things,
just hiding behind cover and watching your character actually like peek over to fire the gun randomly. I was like, just seeing that animation is so cool.
I think that had the first kind of proper customization for weapons as well, because I seem to remember
Army of Two.
Yeah, I seem to remember spending a lot of time messing around with weapons.
You could, and I think you could get different armor sets and things. Like different helmets.
The faceplate thing you wore, you could change that around as well. I always remember going around with the skull plate because, you know, it was more badass than having a skull in your face.
That was a fantastic. Aside from Army of Two, sorry, Craig, I don't want to cut you off.
That's done on Gears 2. Yeah, like I could mention the Horde mode, which is my favorite mode of the whole game, but it wasn't like couch co-op. That was very much online co-op with 5 people. So I'm going to save that for another time.
And till we do like a multiplayer episode.
Yeah. Because I have a lot more to say.
I'm not finished here. But just on that, I think and again, could be a crazy hot take here, but I played a lot of the only things I really played on the Xbox were Halo and Gears of War as games, and Fable on Xbox.
Fable's on that as well.
Yeah. I think they're my only 3 experience of games on the Xbox, and I think
did you not play Knights of the Old Republic? I thought you played that.
Oh, sorry, yes, yeah,
that
but no,
only
recently, like in terms of you can download it on your PC now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that's how I played.
You didn't play it at the time.
No. But Gears of War was a bigger thing to me than Halo was for Xbox.
Yeah.
When I think of Xbox, I know everyone says it's the Halo thing, and I was like, no, Gears of War was like the cinematics and that and everything.
Yeah.
That was
it was.
Halo had really good stuff. The ending of Halo 2, I think, or Halo 1, where you're in the buggy and you're driving away from the explosions, that was crazy cinematic. That was cool with the music.
Yeah,
you know?
the music, the
it was great. But Gears of War 2 for me was like, again, that cinematic
machine gun
thing.
with chainsaw.
Exactly.
And the bloody and gore and violence.
The coolest gun in Halo has needles on top of it. That doesn't
It's also called a needler.
It's stupid, and it looks like a toy. You know?
What about Angie? Got any other like honorable mentions? Or anything like that?
I'd have 2 honorable mentions and one. So I'll just go really quickly for honorable mentions, and you'll remember this one, Greg. You might as well. Urban Rain.
No.
Urban Rain was quite the
interesting game.
It was fantastic. I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, so for the folks who are listening, he just winked at Darren.
Urban Rain was, and again, it's not so much co-op as like just it was local play kind of thing, but it was a beat 'em up kind of thing. But it was kind of like a.
You could play the campaign though as a team.
You could, you could. You do 2 players to a team. So this was a case of like you could do 4 people and pick a thing, and you'd all 4 of you fight each other at the same time in a 3D environment kind of thing. Which was before that it was all kind of like any of the fighting games I'd come across be 2D, like Tekken, kind of like
2D level,
2D level kind of design.
Yeah.
This was fully roam around a 3D environment, pick up weapons, pick up trash cans, and beat the living daylights out of each other. And it was
kind of like a wrestling game without the ring and the real weapons.
That can't exist, Darren.
Yeah. But I remember because it was great because like there was the character roster for it was huge, and like the characters really varied. So one guy I always remember playing as was just slab of meat of a dude who just walked around, and his entire move was just pick you up and smack you into the ground.
They had different martial arts in it, which is quite cool. They had like Muay Thai, just normal boxing. One guy did karate similar to the karate that I did growing up, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna pick this guy. I know how to do these kind of moves." You know, like that.
Yeah.
But like it was.
We're practically the same.
Yeah.
But that's it. And like the guy, the main like, Brad Hawk.
Brad.
The guy.
Hawk.
That's a good name.
What an American superstar hero! Like,
I mean,
Brad
and
Hawk.
that's thing. Every single character in it, regardless of their martial arts style, was the same kind of style character, chunky. Built like a brick shit house kind of thing. And I always remember because the 4, like you, me, Graham would play it. I think we got Kieran on a few times as well. And it's literally just like you'd all just stand there and just wail on each other, and then one person would like pick up a metal bar and hit someone, and everyone would just turn on that one person and just brutalize them.
He's got the metal bar.
Yeah.
Get him.
Yeah, literally. He's picked up a weapon. Get him.
It sounds like those old school wrestling THQ games.
Yes.
Is that what you're comparing to?
Exactly.
I
They
think,
were easily my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was as a recent memory for Urban Rain, when we played through it the first time, we finished it completely. And
100%. Yeah.
when you finished it, you unlocked 2 secret characters who were Paul Phoenix and Martial Law from Tekken. So it was like a crossover. So me and Graham, like our 2 favorite characters.
Wait,
from
Martial
Tekken,
Law or Forest Law?
Martial Law.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, the original.
Yeah.
I have no time for this.
But you could have. So when I play Tekken, Martial Law or Forest Law is always my character, and Paul Phoenix was
Wait,
always Graham's.
are they the same person?
No, they're
Father
2
and
different
son.
people. Father and son.
Yeah. Marshall is Forrest's dad.
Yes, that's correct.
Dang.
Yeah.
Wish it was the other way
But
around.
what's cool is their styles differ very slightly. Like in Tekken Tag Tournament, I'm going off topic here, but I just have to, I love Law. But their style is quite different. And Forrest hasn't been in nearly as many games as Marshall has, but I prefer his style. Like I wish he was the main Law character you could play as, especially now that we're moving on. I'm like, let the sun take over, you know. But that's a story for another day when we're talking about Tekken. But go back to the thing, we got Law and Paul, and we were like, this is amazing. We'll go to the campaign playing as Law and Paul, and when you're doing it as a team and you both do certain button combinations when you're close to an enemy, you'll do like a double takedown. Like it looks really, really cool. And a couple of years ago, Graham was coming back from London for a couple of weeks, and I was like, I'm gonna go on and unlock Law and Paul so we can play through the campaign as those 2 again when he's over, just for old time's sake or whatever. And the amount of stuff you have to do I have no idea how we did it. I have no idea how we did it the first time around.
They made it difficult. They really
had
to
complete it on every difficulty, every level, like A rankings in all your fights, whatever. But
you have to remember, this was back when the 3 of us, like, we didn't have jobs, we had a lot of spare time to burn on this game.
Yeah.
And like this, it wasn't a case of you've got 16 different games played. We got Urban Rain to play. Let's play this until we finish it.
Yep. that was kind of.
It sounds like the developers knew what they were doing.
Oh,
they
yeah,
weren't going to
like,
just give you 2 amazing characters, and then you would never play as the characters intended for the game.
They would have been like today's like of getting a platinum on a PlayStation. That this is what your trophy got you, is these 2 characters. So it was literally 100% completion to get them.
The storyline was fantastic though, because it was like, you know, Brad Hawk, the All-American hero. It was like so overdone.
Oh, it was just and his
you know,
the voice.
Took 2 seconds to come up with that name.
Yeah. What's a cool first name? Brad. It's like, what's pretty American? I don't know, like Eagles or Hawks. Brad Hawk. He was great though. It was like that real corny, like over the top Time Crisis-esque type of voice acting. Like, you know, so you're going to tell me where he is and who I need to find. I was like, oh, Brad Hawk means business. You know?
Of course he does.
Yeah. I think we'll go maybe like another 1 or 2 or another 1. Let's say honorable mention each before we pack it up. If you have it, if you don't,
I guess I have an honorable mention. It's only because I was listening to the podcast 2 weeks ago where you had Colin on and you were talking about Starship Troopers.
Yes.
And like I know you transitioned to Starship Troopers with XCOM and you were all looking for like a cool game that was like that.
Yeah.
But Andy introduced us to Helldivers, which was very much Starship Troopers, but as a top-down third-person shooter where 4 people just played on the screen. And, you know, like one person controlled where you were moving and everyone else had to kind of keep up with them or get lost behind, so you couldn't see that much. But I mean, you beam down to a planet and then just we're going to war with just wave after wave of aliens, with trying to complete these little objectives as you went.
Fire this missile silo off, or go get this briefcase and get it back to
like
the...
Go to this base, blow up this thing, escort this NPC over to there. You know, but they had all those cheesy lines like, this is for democracy! Like, they're like gunning each other down and stuff like that. And like... it was just one of those games where, like, it was just so fun because, like, friendly fire was obviously a massive deal. To the point where, although there's a million enemies on the screen, you were way more likely to kill your own person than an alien.
And I will never forget in that game as I was like, you're playing it and someone gets killed and has to go away for the drop pod and stuff. And they're murdered away. You've all bunched up together and you're waiting for this last person to come in, and their drop pod lands square on all of you and just murders all
of you. The amount of moments where we're just like back to back is their last dish, and someone calls in a mech and it just comes down on all of us and kills us all.
Oh, good times.
Such great
and
moments.
that was a game I don't think we actually played as much
play
as I
a
would
lot
have.
of.
Because it was kind of like it's because it's still on my library on the PlayStation, and I scroll past it when I'm looking for like, oh, what unfinished game will I download and go to now when there's a bit of a drought, you know? And I always knock by Helldivers and like, is it worth putting this in the chat to see if people are ever going to come back to Helldivers?
I would definitely
I'd 100% be on that one. Yeah, that was
okay, I'm going to put it in the chat.
We should, but it was like, especially after listening to you guys, I was like, how is someone not mentioning Helldivers?
Yeah.
Because it is basically Starship Troopers.
And can I just throw in really quickly here, just to mention that there's a Starship Troopers game being launched.
Amazing.
It's I don't know if it's local co-op, so if it fits into the podcast, but just so you guys are aware, there is an actual, it's got a online play at least anyway, and it's like a defense game where you literally set up your bases and you get swarmed by the bugs.
That sounds about right.
It's got all of the voice lining in it. It just makes you feel like, it's even got it's everything. It's
but
fantastic.
A final note on Helldivers, just in case people don't know or we're thinking of playing it. It's one of those games where, like, it's 4-player, but you and every single other person playing the game are on a team because it's humans versus the aliens. So it takes your score into account, and this is kind of like a galactic domination. And the game gets more and more difficult the better the humans are doing, like the better people are playing online. So it gets harder and harder to crack that like final like
get to
base
that last
on
planet,
that little planet, you know, and get the alien queen or whatever, like, to defeat her. So it's one of those games that's just more and more fun the more people play it. So how much more of a co-op thing can you have?
Yeah,
that's it.
That's pretty much that. Yeah, it is exactly, because it was one of those things that was a lot of fun and
couch co-op.
It just
Planet Earth.
Yeah. It just seemed to be like that thing that was kind of like a passing in the wind. It was like the wrong time for us. Maybe a different game.
I think it must have been,
because it's a game. Like every time I pass by, I'm like, I had such fun with that. Like we kind of just stopped playing that game.
Well, it's always competing with Smash, like every other game. So it's hard to make room for them sometimes.
Yeah.
You know?
And if I could throw in one last one, if we've got time for it. So, and this is just the one that, like, this personifies what like couch co-op means to me. Like playing it even 3 years. Like Claire, who you met my wife, when I first met her, did not like video games. Thought they were a waste of time.
But you ground her down.
Just
like you ground this guy down.
Yeah,
now he likes being Luigi.
And that's what we keep telling him.
He accepted his punishment.
But like that, I mean, I tried for ages to get her into playing games, but you wouldn't play it by yourself kind of thing. So I figured, you know what? Stardew Valley. So we started playing that game, and like she fell in love with that game. And that is literally like, it's the two of us sitting down, just chilling out, playing this game, working on our farm, doing all this kind of stuff, and just enjoying a game, enjoying playing a game together, where there's no stress, there's no panic. It's just, let's just sit here, chill out, play Stardew Valley for a few hours, and just
it's a wonderful game.
Realize we've passed 10 hours and don't know why it's dark out.
Funny Stardew Valley story that I have a column was we were just both getting into Stardew Valley separately, and I had said to him, "Oh, there's an update for the PlayStation version. It would have been the PlayStation version where you can play like online, and like we can both play off our consoles and start a farm." And I went down to Column's place, your parents' place, Greg, or whatever, and went down there, and I was like, "Hey, let's play," but the update hadn't come out yet. So we're like, "Oh," so we just started our own farms then. So we had like Column's farm, I had Darren's farm, we had like two just separate things going on, just having the chats. It was real like nice and chill. And we were playing for ages. It was like 1 or 2 a.m. I was like, "Oh my God, I should definitely go home. Like, I need to go home." And so I exited out of the game. And then I immediately got a notification at the top corner saying, like, "Update for Stardew Valley." And I just looked over at Colin, who looked back at me being like, "We'll start a new farm." It was like 1 a.m. And I'll never get like staying over in the house and then leaving as the birds were beginning to wake up. I was like, "Oh,
what have I done?"
Oh, look what you've done to me.
What was that update? Sorry.
So on the PlayStation version, you could only play yourself. Solo. But they were bringing an update that would allow people to online hop into your farm.
That's right. Yeah.
So you get a second little cabin on your farm that other people can.
So you were over comms and you were both just playing separately.
Separately, yeah. But that was. We thought the update was already out.
Right.
So we went down and was like, "Well, we've come down to play Stardew. We're gonna play Stardew." So we started our own farms, and then later that night we quit it out. It showed us the update, and we're like, "You want to go again?"
Well, we're here. We have the PlayStation.
Why the hell not? Yeah, it was great. It's so addictive. I think we'll probably leave it there, fellas, at a reasonable time. This has been Couch Co-ops. If we made any mistakes in anything that we said, or you want to tell us what your favorite couch co-op games are out there, listeners, you can email us at thegiftofgamingpod@gmail. Oh, God.
Did you get that right? I don't know.
Think so that was right.
I got it. You can email us at thegiftofgamingpodcast@gmail.com or tweet us at giftofgamingpod.
You've made it so difficult for yourself.
Hey, listen, the handles are all gone. Like, I'm so late to the party. Do you know what I mean? Like,
do you think it's one of the listeners who just like after episode 1 was like, "I'm gonna screw over these guys.
I'm gonna take the handle." But like, Twitter's been out for how many years? And I've now been like,
I know, but why would anyone go with the gift of gaming?
Well, someone
it's
already
so
has.
specific.
I should search for them.
This is on you, Darren. I bet you, like, if you had done it week 1, we would have had it. But the first person to listen to the show went straight online, like locked all that.
I'll reach out to them. And
is this a bad time to mention that it was me?
Son of a
I'm going to get this.
And if you like, we're going to do a post show after this. And if you like the content and want to contribute and help us continue to make content, you can have a look and join our Patreon at patreon.com/thegiftofgaming. And you can join there for as much as a cup of coffee a month to listen to us talk shit about just about anything in our post shows. This has been the Gift of Gaming podcast. Andrew, Craig, thanks very much for joining me.
Thanks
that was
for having
great.
me.
Thank you.
On this couch of mostly co-ops. I'm looking at you, Craig.
I stuck to the rules for the most part.
Yeah, you got there. Yes, this has been the Gift of Gaming podcast. Thanks very much, Andrew and Craig. Thanks very much to our listeners. And guys out there, keep enjoying the gift that is gaming. Peace out.
Later.
Bye.